everyone, this is Jessica from SparklePop Paper, and today's video is going to be giving my mini happy planner a makeover. I absolutely love the mini happy planner by Me and My Big Ideas. I used a medium or classic happy planner for most of last year, and as much as I love decorating and I love the concept, I just got sometimes overwhelmed with the decorating. So the mini has been really useful for me for just, I get to decorate it some, put my clips in it, put a few stickers here and there, but the focus is really on making sure my appointments and stuff are written down. So I've really liked that. So today I'm gonna give it some new covers, as well as making like a little divider thing, kind of like a dashboard. This is an example of one that I made for the medium size, last year's little Valentine's theme. It's got that nice tab that sticks up that helps me find the page immediately. Got some post-its and a little pocket on it. So I'm gonna be doing something similar to that today. And that's just a pattern that I made in my silhouette. I went ahead and cut my stuff before this because I figured you probably didn't want to watch the silhouette software for 10 minutes. I used paper from this paper stack from Michaels called Boho Tropical. And I love using these little scrapbook paper books. I only will buy them if they're on sale or if I have a coupon. But I like them because all the paper will coordinate, and I'm not great at matching stuff. So when someone else coordinates it for me, that's really good. So I picked this really pretty blue and purple pattern and used my silhouette to cut it out. It's just a rectangle. You don't have to have a silhouette to cut it out, but I didn't want to mess with making sure all my angles were perfectly straight or exactly 90 degrees. So I did just put the dimensions into the silhouette and made that. I also used my pattern. I used the same one as that larger one I showed you and just shrank it down. It's just a little bit taller than the page, so it will stick up properly. Finally, I cut some pieces out of this piece of paper. This was like a scrapbook page, I think, that was meant like you cut those pieces out. So I cut out the Let's Dream Big and then the Life is Good one, and I'm gonna glue those down. I did trim the Life is Good one down just a little bit so it will fit right in the middle there. So next I need to glue my Let's Dream Big piece right on that front cover. I wouldn't use anything like hot glue here. I'm gonna use this little adhesive tape roller, which is a really handy little tool that I found out about on another YouTube tutorial. And these are really great because it's just enough to stick it down so you can laminate it. It doesn't need to be super, super sticky because once you laminate it, it's sealed in there. I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't use hot glue. Hot glue is kind of lumpy. And when you're laminating stuff, you want it to be as thin and smooth as possible. So, and if you need it, the Happy Planner mini dimensions are 4 7/8 inches by 7 3/16 inches. And I did measure that from paper edge to paper edge, not from the edge of the lamination, because I knew I was going to then laminate, which is gonna add another 1/8 or more to the width. So I didn't wanna add any extra. I'm also gonna do something similar with this little divider. Sometimes I put paper on the back. This time I just chose not to, but you certainly could. Just like I did before, I'm gonna put some of my double-sided tape on there and glue or stick that down to the middle. And those things are really handy. You can just buy them like at Target, or they don't have to come from a craft store. But yeah, I'm gonna get that stuck down and then I will be ready to laminate. So I am going to go ahead to my laminator and take care of that. Now we're all laminated. I skipped that part. I didn't feel like you needed to watch 30 seconds of the plastic sheet going through the laminator. But in any case, I do have one of the kind of cheap Scotch laminators. I think I paid like 20 or 30 bucks for it at Walmart or Target when I bought it. And I bought it a while ago. It's lasted a good while, and it's had some wear and tear. It's definitely worth whatever they charge for it. So hopefully you'll notice here, I've got some space in between this cover and the little divider. And the reason for that, if you haven't used a laminator or if you're just now starting to use one, make sure that you leave space, because the laminator, even if it's a really good one and you got great quality stuff, it's never gonna seal completely tight to the edge of your paper. And you can go look at your store-bought Happy Planner and your Erin Condren, these are gonna have the same thing. They have that edge of lamination, and if you look at the edge of the paper, there's actually like a little pocket. It's almost like a little tiny air pocket, because the lamination doesn't seal all the way to the paper. And that's normal. The thicker the paper, the less it's gonna seal. So just make sure you're aware of that and give yourself some space. Also, when you're trimming it down, don't trim all the way to the edge of your paper. That's why when I did my measurements, I said I'm doing edge to edge of the paper, knowing that there would be an additional 1/8 inch or slightly more from the lamination. Because if you don't, if you cut that completely away, then the lamination is not sealed together on the edges and it could start peeling away from your paper. It's not gonna hurt anything, but it won't last as long if you do that. I'm gonna just go in with my scissors and hand cut those last details, and then I'm ready to punch holes. Now you have some options for hole punching. If you don't have any of the large punchers, then you're kind of stuck doing it by hand. I'm gonna do it by hand anyway, but I'm gonna tell you why. I do have the Staples arc puncher, and it's heavy duty. It handles lamination fine. You can put 7 or 8 sheets of regular paper in it and it punches them beautifully. The problem with it is that it is not the same depth as the Happy Planner puncher, so the holes will end up closer to the edge of the cover than I want them to be. Now that's not a deal breaker. They're the same space, for the discs, it's the same distance between them, so it does work, but it's not going to be flush with the pages the way I personally want it to be. I'm very type A, so that's why I don't use that. I don't own one of the Happy Planner punchers, but every review that I've heard of it, I'm in some of the Facebook groups, and people always have this same complaint, which is that it can't do anything that's heavy duty. It does fine with paper, and it's the correct depth, but it can't handle lamination. And considering I've got sheets of laminated cardstock in 5mm plastic, there's no way that that can handle that. So my only choice really is to do it by hand if I want it to be the correct depth. But it's really easy to do by hand. As you can see, all I'm doing is taking the actual cover and lining it up over the ones I've just made and using a black pen to mark it. So I'm using a Papermate Flare pen. You can use a Sharpie pen, you can do it with a dry erase marker and mark all of those. Then you just need a hand hole puncher. Now this is a monster of a tool. You don't have to have this. A regular hand hole puncher works just fine. I don't own a normal hole puncher, but I do have this, and this thing is called a Crocodile. And I bought it at Walmart a gazillion years ago for sewing, and I use it for punching holes in fabric when I'm gonna set eyelets. I also sew. So I use it, like I said, to punch those holes and then set eyelets or grommets into fabric, but I think it's actually meant to be a paper crafting tool. So it works great for this. It punches right through the lamination without hurting my hands or anything. It's a pretty strong tool. So I'm just gonna do that and punch all of those holes I marked. Just be careful, it is easy to drift a little bit, so make sure it's really clear where the edge of the circle is, because that can mess up your alignment when you actually go to put it in the planner. Once you've done that, you just take a pair of scissors and then cut from the edge up into your holes, and just try to make it as centered as possible, and you won't have any problems. Like, because it doesn't have to be completely perfect, and the slits don't need to be very wide. They just need to be wide enough that you can pop them over the discs, and then the hole is what is going to hold it to the discs. So don't make them too wide. So I'm done, and now I'm just ready to install everything. So this is one of my favorite things about the Happy Planner and the ARC system in general, is how easy it is to take stuff out and change it out and add things. Just do what you want. So I'm just gonna pop that in, and this is where being kind of type A pays off. It lines up really nicely, just like I wanted it to. If I had used my Staples arc puncher instead, you would see the edge of the pages, like where it's showing, you probably see about 1/8 of an inch of the pages sticking out. Like I said before, that's not a deal breaker. It's really not it's not a problem. It's not gonna hurt your planner at all. But I just like the way it looks better when it's lined up correctly. So you don't have, if you do have the arc puncher, you could totally do it that way. But my covers are now changed out, and I'm just gonna stick my little divider in there. Now, when I do my large dividers, I do pockets, I do little embellishments, I might add post-it notes. For this, it's so small, I didn't want to add any of that, but you definitely could, and I'll do another video with a larger one so you can see. Now, as much work as we do on our planners, sometimes you just want to see the whole week at a glance, so sometimes I will take that little divider out and put it in the page maybe directly after this, or the one directly before, so it gets me in the ballpark, but then I can still see my planner. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. Please let me know what you thought, and until next time, thank you very much for watching.